My dad has always said that on his gravestone, he wants it to read, "Here lies a nice guy." And he's like, if you can get through life and that's how you're remembered, he goes, you've done it right.
Shane's overnight success was years in the making. In 2006, Kenny, a mockumentary about a porta potty guru, propelled Shane to international stardom.
You know, I've had a pretty bad run with losing friends. I've been to more funerals than I care to admit, which means if 24 hours after that a moment happens where I can find a smile again, I give myself permission to smile. You know, laughter's the best medicine. And, you know, when Dad was in intensive care, we were using humour then. And we're like, I think we can get him through this, yeah?
So interested to know your experience as a parent of a neurodivergent child.
It's not that your kid ain't normal. My kid's extraordinary. He's autistic, he's ADHD, and he's just been diagnosed with Tourette's. And as he said to me, I got the premium package, Dad. I said, you do, buddy.
There aren't many at the top of the tree of nicest people you've ever met, but this man stands at the top of that tree. The nicest man. One of. I'm just thinking about the people who are also, I know a lot of nice people actually, so let's not do anything. Yeah, so one of the nicest people I've ever met, Shane. It's such a thrill to have you here.
Shane Jacobson. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
My dad would be thrilled to hear that. You've just got me. I can give up entertainment now. On his gravestone, he wants it to read, "Here lies a nice guy."
Yeah.
Or a great bloke. Yep, that was the other one too, or a great bloke. And he's like, if you can get through life and that's how you're remembered, he goes, you've done it right.
Yeah. That's pretty simple, isn't it?
What about money and things?
I decided last night to watch YouTube little grabs from Kenny, and the amount of time I spent doing that, I could have just watched the whole movie because it was, my God, but we will get to that. So I'll just do a quick bio for those of you who are, I think everyone knows Shane Jacobson, but just in case. So Shane's overnight success was years in the making. Growing up in the western suburbs, there were two things that Shane lived for: performing and being part of an organisation or committee. Before Shane was plunged into the bright lights of Hollywood, he worked so many different jobs, including a credit card fraud investigator, a sales rep for a dentistry company, fireworks aficionado for clients such as Bon Jovi, AC/DC, Prince and the MCG, comedy warm-up guy and lighting technician. In 2006, Kenny, a mockumentary about Kenny, a porta potty guru, was written by Shane and his brother Clayton, starring Shane as Kenny. This role propelled Shane to international stardom as he picked up an AFI for Best Actor in a leading role. You're up against Heath Ledger that year as well. That's well done.
Yeah, I still don't know that I deserved it. Heath became a mate after that, which made it even more awkward because I had watched his performance, I think, more than I watched mine. And Gabriel Byrne, who I thought was that if Heath didn't get it,
he was also up for it, Gabriel Byrne.
Yeah, and in Ginderbine, which I thought he was incredible in. Yeah, I was convinced I wasn't going to get it. If anyone ever, I'm not asking people to Google it or whatever you do, YouTube it, but.
No, you definitely
I
should
looked shocked because I was in shock.
Yeah, well, I mean, not that I believe that you should deserve it, but at the same time, I would be shocked as well.
Oh,
yeah,
those two actors. I was so shocked. I thanked a lot of people. The only two people I forgot to thank was my brother, who wrote the film with me and directed it and edited it and produced it, and the investor who paid for all of it. So it was just those two that I forgot.
Damn it.
So Shane would go on to appear in feature films such as The Bourne Legacy, Oddball, The Dressmaker, The Ladies in Black, as well as stage productions such as Hairspray, The Rocky Horror Show, Shane Warne, The Musical, Guys and Dolls, for which he won a Helpman Award for Best Male in a Supporting Role. Shane has numerous credits as an author, presenter, singer and producer, and most significantly has been an ambassador to an incredible amount of causes close to his heart, including the Mirabelle Foundation, Heart Kids Australia and Scouts Victoria. The last thing I want to say was last year was it the 22nd of August last year, I saw you in a foyer at the Star in Brisbane, hotel in Brisbane, and we were sitting very close to each other in the foyer, and I wanted to come and speak to you. I got so nervous and I didn't say hi, and instead I just watched you interact with people around you, and on the plane I love writing on planes, and on the plane I wrote why I didn't, and I found it in my journal from last year.
Why you didn't?
Why I didn't. I was like, why did I not? I don't usually have a problem with chatting to people that I don't know. But anyway, this is what I wrote. So
Just quickly check. How long is this?
it was very quick. It was just so just the context is I watched you interacting with people, the hotel staff, and people asking for photos, and it took me back to the movie Kenny. And I wrote here. I was obviously quite emotional, but I felt it deep in my heart. Shane represents the best of humanity, the decency, the humility, and the way he treats other people. He reminds me it's not what we do for a living, but it's how we do it that matters.
Made me strangely emotional.
Beautiful.
You can stop doing that now.
Oh.
Is this what this show does? I've seen this. There's some kind of gas being leaked into this room. Someone's cutting onions. You're going to have to stop being nice. I'm not going to be able to do this for very long. What a pity you didn't come up to me. That's the reason I find that strange is my agents have said this to me, and my manager, who's worked with many people, that they think I'm so approachable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I wrote about it, because I was like, this is one of the most approachable people I've ever seen, and I just can't find it with myself to do it. And I think it's because you was quite profound. Watching you interact with the people around you, it felt like quite a profound experience for me, as in like, it reminded me of when I was watching Kenny, what a huge impact that had on me, as in a reminder of, this is what truly matters. And then I saw you doing it and living it, and it was all a bit too much of just, this feels like such an overwhelming moment. And I didn't come and say hi, but
that kills me. So because Kenny was, and I'm speaking on behalf of my brother as well. I can't talk about Kenny without pretending he's standing beside me, because we did it together. But it is a riff on decency. Like if everyone goes, try and describe the whole film quickly, you've got seconds. It's a riff on decency. And we held up a mirror to Australia and said, this is who we are, like at the core.
Was it a conscious decision to hold up that mirror? Like, did you feel like you needed to do it at that point?
Well, the way it happened, I actually, as an event manager, I used to use a company which was splashdown toilets at events, and the guys that worked in that event company used their sense of humour as a suit of armour. And I'm from the western suburbs of Melbourne. We didn't come from a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. And my dad was born and raised in a tent until he was 22 years of age. And they were known as the tent family, and that wasn't a term of endearment. So my uncles and my dad were bigger shaped characters that used their humour to protect themselves from people having a go at them, right? So the splashdown workers, imagine that every party you go to, every function you go to, every wedding, when you sit beside strangers and introduce yourselves, that we all get to go, we're in entertainment. That goes pretty well for us, doesn't it? Even if we're doing well or not well at it, we get to say we work in entertainment. That's pretty cool. My wife gets to say she's a lawyer. Someone else might be a teacher, a doctor, a surgeon, a single mum, and everyone goes, gosh, how are you doing it? All that kind of stuff. But when you go, I work for a toilet company. It's just never going to go well for you. You instantly become the butt of their joke. Oh, well, I better not shake your hands. You'll take shit from anyone. And the jokes start. Yeah. So their life, the second they unveil what they do for a living, they become a joke instantly to a stranger.
Yeah.
So I watched them working and dealing with what people said and using their sense of humour as a suit of armour. And it's what my uncles did. And these were hard-working blue-collar workers using humour and deflecting it and making everyone feel happy while people are having a go at them. And I think that's genius. So when I saw that, I said to my brother, I have seen these guys that are exactly like our uncles.
Yeah. And
that was my brother who said, what a great way of looking at humanity through the eyes of toilet workers. And when you go into a toilet and the workers all, have you ever noticed their eyes are down? When you go into a supermarket or when you go to a shopping centre now and you go into a toilet and there's someone there cleaning it, watch how often their eyes are down.
Oh, why is that?
It's a learnt experience. People aren't looking at them and communicating with them, so what's the point of looking up? Or they're embarrassed. And either way, we've got it wrong as a society. So me and my brother cleaned toilets to get himself through film school. So when we walk through a toilet, I say hello. When I get off a plane, say hello to the people who are waiting at the door to go on and clean that plane, and you watch them. Oh, hi, thank you.
I'm not used to it, But I think that is how I've always known you. in the way that you will meet someone new, you have no idea who they are or what they do, but you'll say hi to them in the same way that you'll say hi to the famous person that you're meeting for the first time. Like there's no judgment or hierarchy or status in your world.
Like being any different is just not allowed in my family. Like being a prick's just not allowed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like if you before it all comes on me, like Shane, you're amazing. Just so you know, it's not allowed. There are rules. I'm following the rules.
It's all you know.
You just can't. You can't get ahead of your station.
So what is it about your childhood, or what are the events from your childhood that influence that?
Well, firstly, when my dad sees me interact, I mean, he's in aged care now. He's not seeing me on the street, so to speak, but he sees me with the people in the aged care. It doesn't matter what I've done. He's proud of stuff that I've done, don't get me wrong, but when he sees someone stop me on the street and I talk to them and have a photo with them, he has always said something to the effect of, if not almost identical, that's what matters. My brother on the other side of that coin, he'll meet a crew member or a cast member or someone that's worked with me, and he says that they say often, oh, I've worked with your brother, he's so nice. And he says, what did he do for you? And they go, what do you mean? He goes, did he buy you something or lend you some money? And they go, no, he was just really nice. And he goes, yes, so he should be. It's called manners.
Yeah.
So even in our family, you can't get it. You're not allowed to keep the tip from a compliment. It's like, no, you don't get to tip me on that.
No, that's the expectation.
That's expectation.
Yeah.
When you say your dad grew up in a tent, or he lived in a tent, was that like? Can you explain that?
That's how poor they were. So that was how poor they were. So my family came from carnival. It's inherently we're going to end up in entertainment, I think. So I come from carny folk.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the joke is big fingers and we smell like cabbage, like hardworking, but we couldn't afford decent food. That's a carny thing.
Really?
If they got big fingers and they smell like cabbage, they're probably a carny like us. Yeah.
So when you say carnival, do you mean like kind of working carnival stalls and like literally touring and traveling?
Yeah.
Really? So
Yes.
how old were you when that was happening?
I wasn't even born, so it was my grandfather that had the rides. They had the Cherroplane ride, which is a rudimentary little pull-start motor with some chairs on chains that would swing around, the Cherroplanes.
Yeah.
Knock a dolly, win a lolly, all that kind of stuff. So they toured country Victoria
Wow.
and probably even into southern New South Wales with the circus. But my grandfather died in front of my dad when my dad was 8. And my auntie was 1. He, in fact, watched his little sister crawl over to the body. But so they were a carny folk, and then that stopped in an instant. So all they had was a tent and a block of land in Maribyrnong, and he was, one of many, 7 of them. So they had to come back to the property and pitch the tent, and they lived in it until my dad was 21.
Jeez.
22. He had just nothing. He loved his youth. That's the thing. Like, he loved it. If I said...
The experience of living in a tent. He
loved it.
Yep.
He thought it was amazing. And all of his gags, so many of his gags, anyone that had more than 3 teeth in that town was a tourist. And he said, he was so poor growing up at school, he couldn't even afford to pay attention.
Yeah.
At one point, he said, I think we were sponsored by a family in Peru. He reckons their photo was on someone else's fridge. So he... Like all of that. So in my mind, the concept of being poor and working class just sounded fantastic. That's how
amazing.
he pitched it.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing was mates would want to drop around and see my dad before we went out. And nothing happened in my head when they asked for that. Oh, okay. Then over time I realised at no point in my life was I going, before we go out, can we drop into your parents' place? Mm-hmm. So the point I realised my emotional bank account was chockers was with Humour, that I went, oh, they're coming to my house or where my parents are or what I'm around, the humans around me, to fill themselves with joy, and then they leave, and I assume that wears off with whatever's going on in their house.
Right.
And they come back to fuel up here. And imagine if every house was a Bowser. What's in your Bowser? Like, is it finance and success? And I found out our house's Bowser was good times, was fun, was joy. And they'd come and fill up and then drive off. And I didn't know I could just
You
It
had
was
that,
just
yeah.
being poured over me like that
Yes,
scene in
yeah.
Zoolander. Just fucking.
Do you, so in becoming like a dad, knowing what your childhood was and what your messaging was, were you going into it going like, I need to instill all this like this knowledge and philosophy and stuff on my kids, or are you just let's just see?
No, I'm trying really hard to do everything you just said, but you've just leapt from me and my youth into
Yeah.
how I'm going as
I
a
have-
parent.
I have so
And
many
just
questions on that.
Yes.
Oh no, don't. Oh no, we can't do this. Does
not
anyone
yet.
know?
Can you?
Yes,
Not
no,
yet.
no,
no.
True.
Let's not do parenting yet, because
No, because I was so confident until that bit. How much
Sorry.
did I feel
Well,
like
give
I
you
was
time to
leading the
prepare.
conversation? And she went, "How are you going with parenting?" I'm like, "Oh fuck."
Okay, let's build into that. Let's build up to that.
So I'm just picturing your childhood. So your dad and your uncles were into boxing, and boxing was a big part of your life. But there's a point where you decide you want to go into acting, stage acting, singing, dancing.
Always, believe
So
it or
how'd
not.
that go down with that when you were telling your dad that? Was that
This is the beauty of it. My dad, like me and my brother and my dad, like we're the same thing. Like there's just kind of one. It's the same Lego kit. It's got all the same pieces. It literally does. We all want to be, a man, whatever the hell that means. But there was certainly a thing. My uncles were they were big, strong men. So there's that, and I'm not embarrassed by it, and I don't want to change it. I did want to become some kind of man. But then I saw Humour. I wanted that Lego piece. So you bolt that, and that's one of those big long blocks. I want to bolt that to the big strong man thing. And so humour's another part. And then decency was even, as we've discussed, is another piece of the block and everything else. But interestingly, not for my uncles, but for my dad and my brother and myself and my sisters, like they danced, like my sisters were dancers, right? My younger sister, she's in John Farnham's Lifted Up by Angels. My little sister is the dancing angel,
Whoa.
So the other block that's the same size is this burn and yearn to entertain. So all my uncles were funny, but my dad would get up and do comedy acts on stage at the footy and cricket night and just slay. So bolting that together, Dad loved the idea of us singing and dancing.
right?
And Dad was
So
a great
supportive and
all the way. So, but the thing that so I was dancing and boxing, and I had long hair and I had my ear pierced, and Dad said it was one of those things. If you're gonna have your ear pierced, he said, it was a different time. If you're gonna have long hair and your ear pierced like a girl, and you're gonna want to dance, you're probably gonna need to make sure you can fight.
Right.
And so I was doing box. I was at the gym anyway because I just wanted to be like my dad and my older brother. Like I was going to go there anyway, but he was like, "You're probably going to have to learn how to do all right at this." And so, but when the two worlds collided for me, the primary school I was at knew that I was tap dancing, and I kind of didn't even think. They said, "We'd love you to do a routine for the school." It was like 500 or 600 kids at the school, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Oh, right. Okay. So I came to school and they set up this double classroom where the doors used to kind of bifold doors would open up and it turned into one really big room and it could fit the whole school in. And I turned up with my tap shoes on and like a dance outfit that was like a, lycra red with sequins. It's the full show. It's the full tap dance gear. I obviously had a different body shape than I do now. I wouldn't wear that now to look like a sock filled with minced meat, but... But back then I looked like a dancer. I went out and did the routine and finished that and then walked into the toilets to get changed again back into my uniform. And a guy called George, who was without a doubt the toughest guy at the school, who had his cronies all marched in. And then I had that moment, which was that, oh man, this is it. This is that moment where I got to pay the bill for wanting to dance in the western suburbs. They're going to turn up and see if I've got enough money to pay the bill, And I just went, oh, man, this is when the two worlds collide. So George was definitely going to be a problem for me, and so were the guys that were with him. I didn't have their measure at that point. And at that age, in particular, confrontation would have my heart doing a million mile an hour.
And so what happened in that moment?
So, and at that point, I wasn't kind of good enough at boxing to kind of get out of that. And they just had my measure in every way, and George was a lot to just having him walk in a room was pretty terrifying. And so I went, okay, well, they're here to beat me up. So this is when that happens. And let's just see how this goes. And he said, how long have you been doing that? And I'm like, I'm answering questions now. And I just figured
doing what?
the dancing thing.
Dancing, yeah.
And I thought this is part of the shakedown, which used to happen on trains all the time. You got the time, mate, and depending on how you answered as to whether they knew you were an easy target. So I went, this is the shakedown. And I said, about a year or two. And he goes, where do you learn to do that? And I said, at a church hall in Ascot Vale. He goes, that was really good. And I went, thank you. I'm like, he's going to hit me in a minute.
Yeah.
And then he stared at me, and then in that moment, I realised he meant it. And I'm like, And the guys around him were like, what's going on here?
Wow.
And he went, yeah, keep doing that.
What?
And walked out.
Wow.
So
That's unheard of.
yeah, and then he died 2 years later, stole a motorbike, and it killed me. I wrote about it in my book.
Wow.
Jeez.
God, I haven't spoken about this for a while. He gave me permission to keep doing it, and he was the guy that wished he could do it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is incredibly
That's
powerful.
weird. I wrote in the book. I haven't spoken about it, but
How old were you and how old was he?
grade 5. And his circumstance, and I know what he was like, and he was playing his part. He just didn't have my uncles and my dad as a guide.
Yeah.
So I could see in his eyes, he wished he could do that. God, I want to dance like that, but I can't. It's not the example that's been set for me. I've got to be tough, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. And it was like it was a Fonz moment, And he literally walked in there to go, oh my God, someone out of this shit show is following their dream. You keep doing that. Like he meant it. Like I wish I could do that, but he knew he couldn't because he didn't. That's not the role he was playing. He was tough guy.
Yeah.
He was threatening guy. He was steal your lunch guy. So he left, and then a few years later, he died at a really young age. Hit the back of a truck on a motorbike that I'm pretty sure he probably took. The perfect script would be that I found him at 50, and I tell him what that meant.
Yeah.
But just to go, you're not as bad as I think you probably think you are. Like, wouldn't that be cool to say to someone, I don't think you're as bad as you think you are?
Yeah. I have a really similar experience. When I was in probably a year or two older, I was singing and learning guitar and wanted to play music at the school. I think someone asked me, or I can't remember what the motivation was, but I'm going to play it at the school I went to. We had chapel once a week, and I'll sing a song at chapel. And I was so fucking terrified in year 7, and got up there, and there was one guy who I was terrified of his opinion, and it wasn't to be beaten up. He was just kind of the biggest cynic and sort of the cool, like very cynical, very negative in a cool year 7 kind of way that everyone kind of gets guided by his energy. And I sung the song, and then we all had to walk out, and he was making a beeline for me after the thing. And I was like, fuck, he's coming to tell me how shit it was. And he looked at me and he goes, that was good. You should do it again. And then just like walked off. And I was like, I seriously think if he had said something negative, I probably wouldn't have continued to sing, play music, do that. But at that point, it was like, I will do it again, and I have permission to be myself.
Isn't it shit that we seek validation from those people? No, it's like that Stockholm syndrome. Like it's a version of it. I know it's not.
Well, they kind of dictate the terms really of what's appropriate and what's inappropriate. Especially, I mean, even now to a certain degree, when you're older, there are people like that who can do that. But especially when you're younger, you're so keen to belong. That would be. That's why I feel like it's such a powerful, both those stories. But like because you're so, well, most people I would imagine are so kind of like vulnerable, particularly if you're trying to do something that's different, let alone artistic in an environment which is not art is not the common activity. If everyone's playing sport and boxing and everything, and you choose to do art or dance, it's like that is a potentially an invitation to be mocked. So it's so powerful. So it's like a Billy Elliot adjacent.
I was just going to say it's exactly why, and It is Billy Elliot, but every time decent people watch that show, it makes sense instantly. And that's why I hate the fact that we're all guilty of the same thing, that we're all, like George made me say, keep going. There was probably, I have no memory of the other 500 kids at school that must have said something. I hung out with some good kids. They would have said nice shit. I remember none of it.
Can I ask you, it's a bit of a question, brings together a couple of things that you mentioned, but earlier on you talked about the plumbers and the splashdown workers and how good they were at that, the superpower of deflecting insults, anticipating insults through humour. I imagine, and I'm guessing here, that as a kid, as a teenager, you would have been pretty good at that with the dancing and deflecting. Do you think, and I've done it a lot myself with things I am insecure about, but for me, it can come at a cost. Do you think there can be a cost to that sort of humour?
Don't know. It's worked for me.
It works for you. Yeah.
It truly does. I do wake up. My joy is I do genuinely wake up nearly every day pretty happy. I live with a mate who was bipolar. Rough-looking dude, probably terrifying to the eye, covered in tats. Used to tour with In Excess and Pantera, like all these bands. Was a roadie, travelled the world, and to look at, he was a lot. And he would wake up either really, really happy or really, really angry. And so when I'd walk into we lived together for years, and then I'd walk into the kitchen in the morning, and if the kitchen was spotless and it smelt like it had been deep cleaned, he was having a great day. He would get up, and if I came out and there was just a few dishes and that I would do them, but if he would get up early and do them, so there was nothing to do, or if I got up and I had to do them, then he was about to come out on a rage. And so he was red or he was green, right? And I don't think ever in between, really. And then one day when he was having one of his red days, I would just know not to speak, which is a lot for me. So he was the only setting where I ever just didn't talk, like in the morning for like 15 or 20 minutes. Like not a word. I'd just say, morning, mate. And he'd like grunt or nothing. And so I just didn't speak. So I used to walk around in the same space with him and sit down. And that worked for him, right? In fact, he would then sit down and talk to me because he couldn't figure out what was going on, especially with me being quiet. It would shock any room that I'd shut up. And then one day we just sat opposite each other with me not talking. And he said, do you know what really shits me? Do you know what shits me? And I went, oh, here we go. And I'm like, what's that, mate? He goes, every fucking day you wake up the fucking and he's roaring. And he said, every day you're fucking happy. Every fucking, and like it just,
wow.
He was spooling. And that was the thing that morning that set him off. And he goes, is ever there a day where you're not fucking happy? And I said, well, Scoots, not really. I said, but I can I can ring you when it happens if we're not living together. And then he kind of laughed because that was, and I said, is that today's beef? And he went, yes. I went, oh, that's pretty. I said, I can look down or something. Yeah. And then we started to laugh. But that was that day, I'll never forget it, that he was so angry that after an elongated period of time that he realised every day I was going to come into that kitchen with a smile. And fucking drove him mad, as it turned out. And then I finished that morning and got up, and on my way out I said, come here, gave him a hug, and like not many other men could hug him. In fact, I used to pinch his ass in public, and he would react really strongly. And I said, I'm going to keep doing that until you don't react. And it took like 2 years. And then one day I pinched him in the ass. He goes, yeah, I know you pinched me in the ass. Oh, good. Okay, well, we've shaken that bit out of your personality. So yeah, so I think I'm blessed with that, but I know I'm blessed with that. Life has thrown some serious stuff at me. When you get older, it throws stuff at you where it can certainly wipe the smile off your face, but it will wipe it off my face, but it doesn't take it out of my bones. So I can still find it again. I've had a pretty bad run with losing friends over the last I've lost 14 mates in and some relatives in 5 years, and I've lost a whole lot more than that. I've buried, other than one auntie, I've buried all my uncles and all my aunties, and my parents are one of 8 and 7. So I've and their partners. So I've been to more funerals than I care to admit. I reckon I've been to more funerals than I've been to 21st, and I went to a lot of 21sts. So the stuff that waxed the smile off my face, but the humour has always worked for me, and I don't know. Laughter's the best medicine, and unless someone listening to this is really sick, you should probably try some medicine too. But we use it in all the worst of situations. So when my dad had cancer, we use it. Mum's got Parkinson's, and we use it in everything, and it really works for us. And when Dad was in, the only time I got questioned over whether comedy or humour belonged in a space, and we all know you got to read the room. My dad was in intensive care. He had cancer of the esophagus, and as everyone knows, if they find cancer in your letterbox, they take out the whole front lawn. Yeah, that's just what they do. And so they removed his stomach and everything. And he was in intensive care, and he survives. The story's got a great end, but he was in a very serious way when he was in intensive care. And me and my brother Clay were there first. We're waiting for my older sister Kim to arrive, and so we were using humour then. And every time the machine went ping, me or Clay go, oh shit, it's run out of coins, and we'd be reaching in a pocket trying to put a coin in, and leaning into Dad, saying, look, Dad, look, we're not sure if you're going to pull through. Things are looking pretty serious here, and we've been told by the nurses that I don't know if it's going to go north or south, but look, this is something we should establish in case you do jump off this mortal coil. Who gets the patrol, the missing patrol? And so every time we did this shit, Dad couldn't move, but a bit of vapour would turn up in his mask after the punchline.
Wow.
So he would, a bit of vapour, and that was all we'd get. And we're like, fuck, that's all we need, right? Yeah. Okay, he's going with it.
In there, yeah. So
we just applied our medicine, which is humour, and then I walked outside, I think, to meet my older sister. And when I got out, one of the nurses grabbed me, pulled me aside, and looked quite serious, going, listen, I don't know if you boys know this, but your dad is in a really serious condition. And she started to give us like a status update on just how bad Dad was. And I'm like, as she was talking, these are these angels who are keeping my dad alive, right? So like the duality of having the very people, these incredible people in intensive care that are saving my dad's life, question me on what I'm doing. It was like, I'm like, oh, wow, this is... And I'd never had someone question me on, do you really think it belongs here? Someone can not like a gag. That's different. Not someone going, does that belong in this space at all? Like, not welcome here.
Oh, so they were saying you shouldn't be doing it.
Well, I think they were like, I don't know if you guys realise how serious this is. We're hearing you guys muck around. So, but it felt to me like, oh, you think this is the wrong room, but for us,
I see
we've been trained. That is the Jedi Master laying there on that bed of this, and we are his pupils. Like, we've trained to do this. This is what we do. And I had to let her finish because I didn't want to cut her off like she was wrong, or, you know what I mean? I just wanted to let her finish. And I said, look, I'd say, look, thank you so much for having this chat, because I think she was concerned that we didn't get how bad he was.
Yeah.
And I had to go, look, just so you know, we're very aware of how bad this is, and that's our best mate there laying on a table who happens to be our father. So this couldn't get worse. Like, we get it. But this is what we do. And I said, you guys are amazing at what you do. There's not a Jacobson smart enough on earth to do what you do. But we do this. And I said, and I think between the two of us, between us and what you're doing, I think we can get him through this, yeah? And so...
And on top of that, we get paid good money for doing this. So you should be so lucky to hear this.
You'll be getting an invoice. Did you hear some of those gags? How many did you hear? Because it's $3 a pop. If you've heard 3, there's $9 already. So plus GST. So in the end, Dad survived. And I think we all know what the answer is I saved my father. And the nurses did a bit of stuff. No, but so it got... I mean, they did an incredible job. So at that point... Humour got, losing a lot of mates, it's come up to question, losing a heap of mates. Like one of my mates, I don't know if you've read the news, like last year a guy got bitten by a mosquito and got Japanese encephalitis, and he was the second case in 5 years in Australia of dying. That was my mate Steve Bond. Like it's just,
Whoa.
I've had a really terrible run of losing really close mates, right? A lot. And my thing is I have a thing about not cramming mourning, that you should miss them for the rest of your life. So I try not to cram sadness like an exam, like cramming for an exam. If I try and do it all now, it's going to crush me because I've lost so many. I've had such a bad run. So with my mourning, I give myself permission to mourn for a very long period of time rather than a lot now and then get over it and then be happy. Which means if 24 hours after that a moment happens where I can find a smile again, I give myself permission to smile, because I think that is how you endure it. And I've got to figure out sometimes people, and again as an older person, when I was younger and my dad's buried, my mum's still alive, my dad's had to bury he's met two other people and they've both died. So I've had to watch my dad bury two wives and all this kind of stuff. And I've watched him joke at wakes. The Jacobson funerals are the best funeral and the funniest funeral you'll ever go to, because in that room, we don't judge someone. Didn't you just bury your wife, man? How can you laugh 2 hours after that? And I'm like, I got to watch him, a masterclass of him entertaining a room, burying, like two of his wives. Was devastating to him. And I'm like, oh, no, I know he can do 2 hours of laughing because I know he's going home to cry for 24 hours. Like he's going to do more mourning than laughing. So, so in our family, we didn't have to ask for permission to laugh in those moments.
Yeah.
And I know it doesn't work for every culture, but I had one where I tested the idea of being funny in it to a mate of mine who I'm about to tell a story about his parents passing away, but this is a mate I'm about to tell you about. I had to bury him 2 years ago. So his parents, his mum passed away on the back steps of a theatre, coming to hand him his costume before he went on stage to sing a song. And we had to watch him go on stage and sing this beautiful song when his mum had just died, handing him that costume. Gosh. And
how old was?
Oh, we were 16. Jeez. 16. And then only a few years later, he went through that, and then his dad was going to go on a holiday just to escape all that, and was filling his car with a caravan on the back to go on a trip and dropped dead at the Bowser. So now my mate's lost his mum and his dad, and his two older sisters had already gone on to start their own family and had their own life going. But my mate Dave had his younger sister living with him. So the older sister said, we'll obviously take Nick, and he's like, no, I can't have her lose her mum, her dad, and then not live in the house. So my mate stepped up at a really young age to become the dad to his little sister.
Wow.
So, but when we had to bury his dad, we'd buried his mum not that long before that. And I'm like, how do I help him? What can I do to help that world? My God, as if humour's going to work here. And then I'm like, I've got to try something. So when we're going from the church to the cemetery, I just said to a friend, I can't not do it. He's like, what are you going to do? I said, I have to make them laugh at one point. The trip to go and I know where they're about to put their dad like beside their mum. It's just, so I'm like, I've got to do it. I've got to give them one moment to just find a smile, and then they'll get their sad face on when we get back to the cemetery. So my mate had a van with a sliding side door. So when the funeral procession was going with the lights on, heading to the cemetery, in that car was my mate and his three sisters, because there's no parents left, right? So there's not parents to judge. This is a bit over the top. It's just the kids. So I got my mate to drive along the side of that car, and when the door slid open, I was in the back dressed as a clown dancing, which I just figured would be the most inconceivable image to kids burying their parents. Jeez. And they wound the window down. It's a big call. I'm not suggesting anyone should do that. It's a big swing.
Oh, it's huge.
Is it a swing and a miss? And they looked out the window, and of course it was so mad they burst into laughter. And then they were like clapping, and I just kept dancing. And then they just yelled, "Thank you." I'm like, okay, done. Shut the door. See you there. got changed back in my suit and then pulled up and stood beside them. But only they knew, and they were looking at me like, fuck, that was insane. But they just kept saying, like afterwards, independently, my mate's like, oh, man, thank you. Fuck, did I need that?
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to work every time, but...
Was there a moment before the door slid open where you're like, bang, what am I doing here? This isn't good. This is silly. No, this is a funeral.
Everyone that was older than me and smarter than me, which is most people at that point, I could hear their voices going, no.
Surely not. Hey, Hugh and Josh.
Yeah.
You know how, like, with magazines, you can either go to the shop and when there's one there, you just buy one. And then you go like, oh, hang on, there's the option to subscribe to this magazine. So it just comes to me automatically without me having to go to the shop. But did you know, guys, that exact same concept also exists with podcasts and YouTube channels? You can subscribe, and if you subscribe, then the episodes just come to you without you having to do anything.
We love doing this, and we want to keep doing it for a long time, and we want it to do the best we possibly can, and it really helps us.
Go to subscribe.com.
So this is the bit that Ryan's been waiting for. We're going to talk about parenting now.
We got there.
Scary.
I feel like if we did end up chatting at the Brisbane Star Hotel, we would still be there talking on this very topic right now on parenting, because we have a similar journey as far as we have a child who's on the spectrum and diagnosed nearly 4 years ago now. And you said before that certain things in your life have definitely, I can't remember the expression you used, but wiped the smile off your face for a little bit of time.
Slapped it off my face,
Yeah, it certainly punched it off my face for quite some time. I'm now at a point where I feel like I wouldn't change a thing now, and I feel so much joy now, and I've learnt so much from our child, and they've enriched our lives so much with what their world looks like. So interested to know your experience as a fellow parent of a neurodivergent child.
Yeah, I've got a heap of them. They tell me it's, it'd be nice for me to go and get a test.
You don't need to. I can tell you're ADHD.
Look, I'm aware of all of it. I don't have to get a test to see if I'm Caucasian or male.
Yeah.
These are wasted tests. But they in the car, it was only a few months ago. They're going, go on, Dad, go and get tested. I said, what's the point? Like, everyone's got the answer. And they said, join us. And so my youngest is, he's autistic, he's ADHD, and he's just been diagnosed a couple of weeks ago with Tourette's. So it's, and as he said to me, I got the premium package, Dad. I said, you do, buddy. And we look at it very differently. I'm gonna give you a vision first, which is, and the only reason I want to do this is just to put everyone in the mindset of how I see it, which is I really pity people that don't have some form of autism. And I'll tell you why. Because I get to watch this semi-regularly. My youngest, Jax, happy to name him, we're incredibly proud of who he is and what he is. He can go outside, and there's 50,000 versions of this, you'll know this. He can go outside and I can watch him, and I have watched him. And I'll sit there with a beer if it's late on a Saturday, or a coffee if it's in the morning, whatever. I've seen him outside for an hour with his own hands, staring at the sky. I don't know what's going on, but he's shooting stuff out of his hands and he's seeing stuff. And for an hour with just his hands, he's in bliss, nirvana. He's in a world so much greater than the shit world we're trapped in. And the amount of times I've said to my wife, what is he seeing? Fucking what is he seeing?
Do you ask him?
Yeah. And when he comes in and describes it, it's fucking Disneyland.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm like, I am so jealous of what his eyes see. Like he can some stuff's going to be tough, but man, his fucking eyes are a movie cinema. Every now and then, when he's got scenes happening in his head, every now and then we'd hear boom, this big boom. And I'm looking through, our house is designed in like a U, so I can look through to their playroom and see what's going on, right? And so he keeps jumping, right? Anyway, he comes out. I'm like, mate, what was that? What was going on then? Oh, I've made a movie in my head. And he might have a plane or whatever. And I'm like, what's the jumping? And he said, that's the edit point. So when he jumps, the world for if you jump high like a kid, not a grown-up little diddy, I mean a kid, and when you jolt and your head jolts and he's got glasses, so it would be like a full cut.
Whoa.
And I'm like, man, he's editing the film in his head. When I do a film, I've got to wait a year for that thing to come out. I've got a film coming out in a month or two that I've done with Rebel Wilson. That thing's taken 2 years to come out. My son's watching it live. He's live television. So I want people to know that bit first, that I get to see the joy and the genius of it. But when Jax was about 3, my wife spotted all this. I saw none of this, right? None of it. None. She's the one that goes, I think there's something going on there. So we went to get him diagnosed. I'm like, there's nothing wrong, and hear the diagnosed or whatever the thing is, or go and get an assessment. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that kid, all that kind of stuff. And then it comes back and he's autistic, and it took the wind out of my sails. But I just don't know what boat I thought I was on and what ocean I thought I was sailing. Like, why did it take the wind out of my? Who said it was a sailboat? What if he just swapped, as it turned out, he fucking swapped the sails for a motor. But here I am, the wind is out of my sails. It's like, but I think the reason it did it is someone said, oh, by the way, whatever you were expecting, it's not that. And I don't know what I was expecting, because we know the thing isn't, it's not that your kid ain't normal. My kid's extraordinary. That was the day I found out my kid was extraordinary, not extraordinary. And I went, I just went, oh, something happened. But then I just got to discover this world. And at the time, my wife has never, honestly, there's just not a better person for me. There is no better person on this earth for me than my wife, right? So I cannot do life without her. Everyone says the term rock. She's fucking uluru, right? She's a fucking monolith. And anything I get wrong, she helps correct the course, and it's never with judgment. You've met Fliz. There's just no way, like, she's been put on earth just to make it work for me. And she's just a guardrail. Like, I'm going to pick Bathurst because I'm a car guy and I've raced there. Like, she's the guardrail on either side. And honestly, when it's there, when you've got that on the left and right side of you just to keep you in the right direction, you don't often hit those rails. But if you take them away, I'd be swerving all over the place because there's nothing there to guide me, right? But right at the start, when we found out that Jax was autistic, we're at a restaurant. I can remember where it was, in Williamstown. And every time she said the word autistic, she said it at a lower level, like almost a whisper, because there was other people around, Bob, we've just got the diagnosis autistic, and she kept saying it quiet. And I'm sitting there going, oh, she's whispering it. And I said to her, like, for 1 minute, I did something that was smarter than her. This is it. It was a long while ago. He's 11 now. And I said, oh, I'm not going to do that. And she's like, what? And I said, I'm not going to whisper it. Because if he hears me whisper it, well, that's the secret. And I went, I don't want this to be a secret. I want to know everything about it. I want it to be the opposite. I want to yell the word autism. I want people to yell, oh, over here. Oh, great. What can I learn from you? What's going on there? Now, I'm aware when I say this that everyone's journey is incredibly different, and that each child is incredibly different. If you've met a kid with autism, you've met one kid with autism. And it ain't a ruler. There ain't like, how far autistic is your child? It's not a ruler. It's a ball. It's a sphere. And they're within this sphere. And it's just not, people think it's a linear thing. Somewhere in this massive globe of autism, the spectrum, it's a circle, not a ruler. And they're in there somewhere. Oh, mine has this and this. Oh, you're over that corner of the globe. What's the best position within that ball? What is the most superior? None. It's a ball. It ain't a line. There ain't a finish line, or I'm just at the start, or I'm at the end, or mine's superior, or higher, or longer, or stronger, or tougher. It's just different. But at that point, I said, I want this to be a superpower. I want to find out about it. And we have treated it and spoken about it like it's a superpower in our house since that day. And my wife literally, for the 8 seconds that she whispered it twice, and she went, oh my God, you're right. So that was after that, we're yelling this from the rooftops. Like, it's fantastic. So he goes to school, and one of my greatest moments was, I'm going to call it a parenting victory, and there ain't many of them because I don't know what I'm doing. I've always said, I want to write a book called The Book of Being a Parent, and on the front it'll be The Book of Being a Parent, and it's going to be massively thick, like an old phone book. And when it opens it up on the front, it says, good luck. And at the back page, it says, how'd you go? And everything in between is what I've learned, because I don't know what I'm doing, right? Because there's no way I'm going to write anything in that book that says, I know something better than you do. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I hope I'm going all right. But one of my victories was he came home and said, some of his kids said, his mate said, I think I'm going to get some autism. He goes, oh, you can't get it. You've got to be born with it. So they thought whatever was going on with him, he speaks about it with such confidence that they They want it. He goes, oh, sorry, Connor, you can't get it. You can have it, but you can't get it. And so I'm like, fucking yes. And we have him so excited about all these things that, like I say, when the other day, we realised, because he's verbal and physical and it's been for an elongated period of time beyond 12 months at that point, it's Tourette's. And on a Friday, it's worse when he's held it in for a week and he's, and his legs are going, he's kicking, like it looks like he's being electrocuted, you know. And we don't reference it. He just wants to get it out of his system. It's not great if you're driving, which we were last Friday. So thank goodness 2 weeks ago he chose to sit on the left-hand side of the car behind my wife, which meant the back of her seat was being kicked. That's my preference. If you're listening, go to the left-hand side of the car on a Friday, because it's not great being kicked in the back of my seat. I'm trying to drive a car. Dad's got some shit to do here. But if he's behind me, so be it. If I can get a song on the radio that matches the beat, it's like being in a disco. It's fantastic. But it is all this stuff. I just get to watch it all. And when so Fliss found out, got the diagnosis, and they got the call, and she told him. And when I got home, she said, Jax has something to tell you. I'm like, what do you got? And he goes, you ready? I went, yeah. He goes, so did Mum tell you I was getting tested for something else the other day? And the truth is, I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't know?
No. Fliss right now is going, don't tell him that. Sounds like you're a shit parent. I am. I'm a fucking shit parent. Anyway, go on. Tell Dad the news. He goes, you ready? What? He goes, I got Tourette's. Now, it was like, seriously, it was like he got first at the swing race. I was like, yes. And that's when he said, I know, Dad, I got the platinum package.
Yeah.
So that's how it happens in our house. So I'm glad it's, out of 4 kids, I'm glad that it didn't happen early, because I think I would have destroyed all of it. So just knowing.
Sorry, what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
So as a parent now, like, it's hard for anyone with any kid being a parent. They've got so many questions and this and blah, 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 blah. It's just a lot. It's a lot, isn't it? You go from not being a parent at all to you're a parent now. It's 24/7, and they can ask questions and why and blah, 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 and it can be exhausting. I have to explain things so many more times to Jax to get ready in the morning. It's every parent goes, oh, getting him ready for school, that's possible. Oh, I've got to repeat myself all the time. And as you know, you speak to parents, and this is the thing when they try to tell you, that's not autism, that's all kids. And I'm like, well, you want to come in my house and have a go at it, I'll show you the difference. Which is, in the mornings, Jax, go and put your shoes on. Jax, got to put your shoes on. Jack's got to put your shoes on. Put your shoes on, buddy. This is over every 20 seconds or every minute. You got your shoes on, buddy. Jack comes out with his shoes on. Mate, you got to put your socks and shoes on, because I realised, he hasn't even got his socks on. Socks and shoes on, buddy. Socks and shoes on. Now, this just goes for ages, right? He's turned a corner he's now obsessed with going to school early, and that has paid dividends, man. And so now he wants to get to school 30 minutes before everyone else, and that's the train he's on now, and it's great, because now he gets up, puts his socks and shoes on, but it's a hyper focus, right? So, and then I go, brush your teeth, mate, brush your teeth. Now, between me telling him and he getting to the bathroom, he's spotted 4 things of interest, and one of those has got his attention so much he's doing it. He's definitely not putting his socks on. He's totally not putting his shoes in, and he certainly isn't brushing his teeth, because that was a 3rd command. So that just goes on all morning. You just run around repeating the same stuff over and over. Now, I'll be honest, to me, it's no different than humming Christmas carols in December. I don't even know I'm doing it. But it's not until you start humming them in June. Everyone goes, what are you doing? And when they come in your house and go, oh, my God, how many times do you say that? And we go, say what? And they're like, brush your teeth. I went, I don't know. And they said, but how many times? I don't know. And they go, what do you keep saying? I go, because he won't be brushing his teeth yet. And they went, won't he? And I'm like, no, God, no. And then, of course, he comes out and I go, have you brushed your teeth? No. And then he walks back into another room and
does something else.
And it does something else. So if it was my first child and it was already a shock to be a parent, I would have been frustrated. Imagine if I didn't have the diagnosis. Imagine if we didn't know. And I've said, put your socks on, mate, and put your shoes on, like I was told as a kid. And when I got told that, I did that. If I came back out without my socks and my shoes on, my parents would go, mate, I'm not going to ask again. And I'd be sent back in the room. Imagine if I didn't have the diagnosis and I hadn't been a parent a few times over and realised these little things take a while to teach, and it doesn't matter you got a busy day or you had a shit one yesterday. They need to hear it calmly and consistently through Caring Eyes for it really to sink. Imagine if he was number one.
So parenthood has softened you?
100%. It's made me a better teacher. It's made me a better parent. Every kid made me a better parent. And Jax has made me. I reckon I've finally almost got somewhere near doing it roughly right. But if he was my first, I would have destroyed it. I know it. I hate admitting it. I would have been terrible at it. I'd be yelling at a kid that doesn't even know why he hasn't put his socks and shoes on.
Yeah.
He used to turn up, like he couldn't, so the idea of what a face was doing, so he got trained at all this. We've had, a lot of intervention in OT. So a face, for those that don't know how this works, so when they can't figure out what a person's face is doing, so if you imagine me I just want everyone to picture me just telling this story and imagine you staring at my face. Oh my God, you're not going to believe it. Granddad just won $10,000 on Tats Lotto. 10,000, right? From a distance, what he sees as a face screwed up that may as well be, you ever touch me like that again, ever, I'm going to punch your head in.
Oh, yeah, right.
So the words aren't doing anything, and he sees a face screwed up, and he has no idea if you're angry or happy.
Yeah.
He can't figure out what the face is.
Yeah.
So me and Fliss would be talking, and I'd go, oh, mate, it was unbelievable. So we're going down the freeway, and this car pulls out in front of me, and you're not going to believe what happened. And as I'm telling her, his face would turn up in between us. Literally, I couldn't see my wife, like a lunar eclipse, right? A Jax eclipse would occur, this head would turn up, and he'd be staring at my face, and I can't see my wife, and he'd be like a foot from me, staring at my face, not into my eyes. Quite often, as you know, they don't look into people's eyes. And then while I'm talking, I'd eventually stop, and he'd go, angry or happy? And I'd go, oh, happy, mate. And he goes, right, okay, and then he'd leave.
Yeah.
He didn't want to know what we're talking about. He was just curious, and he didn't know if I was. How cool is this? He didn't know if I was angry or happy, but thank God he felt safe enough to put his head right in between me and my wife.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so glad he was the fourth, because, with each kid I learnt, to be more patient and all the things.
Well, it's definitely softened me to the point where I feel like I often have looked for moments, or like with my job, it's like sharing stories to help people learn things and feel moved. We had a situation yesterday at the Resilience Project out here where a staff member got up and read a letter that she'd written when she was 17. It was extraordinary, but she lost her dad when she was 7, and she read it out to all of us, and it was very emotional. And I had to summarise what had just happened in front of everyone, and I found it very hard to do it because I was thinking about my kids and how they would go, and if I was only here, I was in tears, and I thought, might share that story with my child just after I pick him up from basketball, because I just want him to know how much I love them. That was kind of the, and so I thought I told the story really well, and I was just, and that my child was sitting there after basketball, definitely listening, and I said, and I couldn't speak because I was trying so hard not to cry, and I was thinking it's a good chance to explain emotions, and I said, I was just thinking about how much I love you guys, and I just couldn't speak. I was going to cry, and then my child didn't say anything, and I said, so what do you think about that? And my child said, do you think next time we get a Slurpee, there'll be any raspberry left in the machine? And then I just thought, oh God, this is so funny. But I feel like a few years ago I would have been like, mate, I'm trying really hard to make it. And I just thought, and I had that thing again in school when you can't laugh, because I didn't want to laugh what they just said, but I was like, this is so funny. And so the whole way home I was trying so not to laugh at just my child in that story going, the next time I get a Slurpee, I wonder if they'll run out of raspberry like they did last time, because that would be a shame.
I had one of my kids when I went over a Balti Bridge. I was on a massive billboard and I had a hat on. And it was the first time they'd ever seen me on a billboard, probably going, I'd never said, you don't say, I've got a recognisable head. So, and they went, why are you wearing a hat? Didn't mention I'm on a 90-foot billboard. Why are you wearing a hat? Thought it'd be funny. It's not funny. Don't wear a hat. That was it.
So good.
I think it's great for the ego, because it's just, I mean, you're just sitting there trying to be this bright, shiny thing, and they're just flicking shit at you. And well, that's how it feels. And then you realise it's not. They don't know.
Yeah.
Because shit looks exactly the same as chocolate if you don't know what you're doing.
You've just been speaking about parenting your own kids, but you have parents yourself, obviously, and they're still around, you've been saying.
Yeah.
But they're quite old. Have you?
91 and 86. Dad's 91.
Great inningses. Has that been difficult to see your dad, especially the way you've spoken about your dad in particular? But I sense that the emotions are the same for your mum. These sort of superhero parents. Has that been a really difficult process to see them age?
Yeah, it has. So Mum's had Parkinson's for 20 years.
Right.
So we had that moment where, like all of these things out of nowhere, we got a phone call to say, look, I've just found out I've got Parkinson's, and it took, again, slap the smile off her face. 4 days we didn't joke about it. Felt like a lot. And then I remember sitting with Mum and we said we're going to organise a party to bring some friends around, and I'm like, we're going to play Shakin' Stevens. And she's like, really? 4 days? We went, yeah. And we started the jokes. And she literally went, 4 days, that's it. And we went, that felt like a lot, Mum. And we're going, when you get in the bath, can we throw a dirty washing in? So like a washing machine.
Jeez.
I thought you were knocking on the wall before. Turns out you were just trying to lean on it. Every time someone says, how's your mum? We do that like little thing with the hand. Oh, she's a little shaky, you know. So she's like, seriously, 4 days. But the truth was, he did take the wind out of her sails for 4 days because she, dare I say it, I know it's a different experience for everyone, but she was my mum. And she was and is a rock. Sad part is, now that I say that, that's the sad part. She's less of a rock now because it's hard for her. She can't do things for us. So she's now got to be assisted to walk, and so I just finished getting her into aged care a couple of weeks ago. Oh. I spoke to her on the way in today, and yeah, I said, how you going, Mum? You settling in? I keep asking you that. My wife said, you've got to stop asking that. Sometimes I keep asking questions because I want them to say the thing I want to hear.
Yeah.
My wife always says, why don't you wait until they feel that way so when they tell you they mean it? I do it a lot, as it turns out. She's like, I know you think she's going to tell you what you want to hear. But she's not. You just want her to be happy. And it's a really good point. So I've got to try and work on that. I should say, how you going in there? But I'm saying, are you settling in well? And then, of course, she's like, no. So anyway, I'll learn that soon, hopefully. So she said, it's just really hard having to, at the end of every visit, David, my stepfather, has to leave and they don't get to sleep in a room together.
Must be so.
And that hit me. That was literally walking through the door here, had me a bit fragile walking through the door because I'm like, man, I just realised, imagine me and Fliss, like, laying beside her at night is my, like I'm the car, she's the charger. That's where I plug into her. She's my Tesla charger. Laying beside her with my eyes closed, not even awake, having her beside me resets me for the day. Like it's the truth. So if I'm interstate, I fly home. Just if I can be home for one night and I've got to fly out the next morning to go to another, I will fly home to lay beside my wife. So knowing that, hearing Mum say that's the bit, I went, fuck, that's devastating. I'm like, it's good care, it's nice bed, all these things. I'm banging on about furniture, setting and cast members and crew and haven't considered the script, which is, they're all great, but I have to sleep on my own. So that's been hard watching her go through all that. And another one was this morning, to be honest. But that's been a slow deterioration of knowing that Mum will definitely get worse than most other parents. But she's done very well for 20 years with Parkinson's. We want to say that out loud. Dad, 91. So Dad, about 3 or 4 years ago, got really, really, really badly severely burnt about 4 years ago, and was taken out of his house in an ambulance and has never been back to the house since.
Whoa.
So he went from being completely independent to having to lay in a Burns unit.
Oh my gosh.
He fell asleep. He came into the house. It was really cold, and he's like, I'm going to say like older people where they have one of those gas heaters you can just stand in front of, and he would turn it off every time he left. So when he'd come back in, the house was freezing. It's winter in Melbourne and it can get pretty cold. And he went to my auntie's birthday, had a few drinks, came home, house was freezing, his back was feeling a bit sore. Thank God he took his slacks off, his pants off. Sort of my step-brother by marriage, I guess, if you will, my dad's sort of last wife who's no longer with us. It's her son, Brad. He's in the fire brigade. He just said, oh, mate, it'll all be gone. He laid down in front of the gas heater and fell asleep. and they estimate he was asleep in front of it for 3 hours, and he woke up feeling he was laying in water. And that was, in fact, all the blisters that had formed over his body, and they'd all burst, and he was laying in the liquid that his body had been excreting. So he was burnt severely, and so he had to go to the burns unit. I was overseas. My brother kind of made out it was not as bad as it was because I just got there with the whole family. So he thought, I can't take the burns away. He's like, so as he said, kind of said something like, I didn't need to burn you with the burden of that. It wasn't going to help Dad. And then when you get back, and he said, me and the rest of the family had it covered. And then so I got to come home to that, if you will. Anyway, his muscles deteriorated. He couldn't move. Like for him to have a cold shower, to stand under cold running water, he was on like this really heavy drug to stand under cold water.
Oh my God. It's horrible.
So it meant Dad's muscles, anyway, so he just never got to go home. So we had to pack up his house and pack up his things and sell the house, and he's in aged care. So that was sudden, and it was abrupt, and it was terrible because we're watching Dad unable to move in a burns unit. So that's been a heck of a journey. And then it's the thing of finding a place, Dad says it, this will be make it good. It's the last room I'll be in, sort of thing. And you hear those kind of, he says, well, and even when you ring him, Dad's incredibly good at getting off the canvas. So that's his terminology we've been raised with. So the way he judges anything that knocks you off your feet, he said, I don't care if you fail away. Like, please try so many crazy things. You fail a lot. I don't care that you get knocked on your ass. What I will judge you on is how quick you get off the canvas. So you're allowed to. Doesn't matter what you get wrong or how you get beaten by something. He just said the only thing he will judge us on is how long it takes us to stand up again. And he's lived by it. And I've watched him do it. And man, he does, like I said, 2 wives and burying all of his brothers and half their wives and everything else. Like I've just watched him have to do it time and time again. Stomach cancer, horrific burns. So he just has a way of going, well, these are the cards I've been dealt. And so when I ring him, he says stuff like, how you going, Dad? Well, I went through the paper this morning. If I don't read my name in the obituaries, I swing my legs out of bed. He reckons in theory he'll just read his name in a paper. Oh, shit, I'm dead.
Oh, shit already?
Yeah, who knew? I was looking forward to tea and biscuits.
The picture you've painted of your dad there getting up off the canvas seems pretty unstoppable, which he sounds like he is. But did he struggle through that at all?
Yeah, so he was a blind spot forming that he's been a tower of strength and guidance and all those things for me and my brother and all of us, my sister. And after the burns and during all this time, my wife's saying, I don't reckon he's himself. I'm like, what are you talking about? I didn't see any of these signs ever. She spots all of this stuff well ahead of me. And anyway, she sat him down and she's like, to my dad, can I ask you a series of 10 questions? That's the test of whether you might be depressed.
Okay.
And he said, like about 5 minutes later, yeah, maybe you're right. Then, well, based on that, maybe I am depressed.
Whoa.
And I was like, fuck, how did I not see that? Totally didn't see it.
What did he say after that?
Well, then steps were taken to get him assessed and get him medication for it, and now he's great.
Oh.
It made me realise even more so that we should – I've got a couple of mates who just go, hey, mate, welfare check, like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I've always gone, yeah, good, mate. Well, what's what someone said? No, nothing, just checking.
Yeah.
I've realised now, I think that's actually how you got to do it. I think you've actually got to go, by the way, how you doing? Like I think –
be specific about it.
And do it in the gaps. I think everyone's waiting for the moment. But I've got a couple of mates that do it in the gaps, which is why it feels weird. Not the day after I've found out my mate's dead when they ring you go, how are you? You go, well, not great.
Yeah.
Just found out Bondi died, just found out Bakes died, or, the list Parsons died. Just, when the day after that, I'm not great. But in the gaps, I've got a couple of friends that do it in the gaps.
Where it's like nothing seems wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So check on everyone, check off, and overseas they say fantastic. In Australia we say not too bad, which means in theory everyone in Australia was bad. They're just not too bad. So in theory, we're all fucking struggling.
Yeah. Yes. It's true.
I'm just thinking about your parents. Do they talk? Do they ask how the other one's going? We didn't really talk about the divorce at all, but
That's so funny you asked that. They do.
Is that nice?
I'm lost in thought because you've just said that out loud. No one's asked me that. They do, and that's they divorced when I was 4. Like no one was getting divorced. My mum was afraid to leave her house because of how that looked in the community. Like when there was no parent or carer. You take this message home to your mum and your dad. That's what was on every comment when I was a kid at school. And take this home to your mum and dad. There was no mum and carer or stepfather. That just didn't happen. Kids thought it was. I was born in 1970. It's not that long ago, but in my mind, but. Seriously, it was different. Like I couldn't take. I remember there was one other kid at school that lived with one of his parents, and that was a thing. Like I was like, oh, okay, you know what goes on. Yeah, it was people didn't quite get. What do you mean your dad's not in your house? It was a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the fact that and they've had other partners since, and but yeah, it's so funny you asked that. I don't have any comment on that because it's just been happening to me, and I'm like, oh, they were very kind to each other in separation. Like there was no,
They did divorce well.
Incredibly well.
What did they do well?
My brother was swearing. I think he swore once when mum, or was disrespectful to mum. Can't remember what it was. And my dad found out. My dad drove to the house and walked in the front door. I was really little, and said, "If I ever find out that you spoke to your mum like that again." Like came back to go, you don't get to disrespect your mother in this house. Just because I'm not here doesn't mean you don't have a mum and a dad to tell you what's right or what's wrong. So yeah, and they never put us between them. Don't get me wrong, there was a lot of complicated things that I won't go into, but the way they spoke about each other and gave us room to we got permission to be in love with both from them was exceptional. But there's bits that don't work, and there's other people involved, and my brother and I. So my brother's been with my sister-in-law just I don't know forever, right? Their son played the little boy in Kenny. Played my son in Kenny. He's now like 26, and he's like he looks like Aquaman. He's a giant, he's a huge man. He's like makes me and Clay look small. And so my brother's been with Vicky, my beautiful sister-in-law, forever. But they've only just recently got married, and it's funny. I've had partners and everything else. I've married Fliss, but I how do I word this? I love relationships and I trust relationships, but I didn't hold any value in marriage. Because like I said at school, like seriously, I don't, especially in primary school, like I just don't think anyone's parents were divorced. It didn't mean they were in happy marriages, but they weren't leaving each other. That was like really uncool or whatever. And it was sometimes embarrassing to say my parents weren't in the house together. So that was kind of what it felt like. So I felt like I had a dirty little secret, which is I know they don't work, and that marriage thing is potentially a fraud. It doesn't mean because you're all together it's all going great, right? And I don't know, me and my brother have never spoken about this, but I just think it was interesting to note that my brother and I went through life not getting married, and he was with his rock, like Vic means to him what Fliss means to me. I have a son from a previous relationship, and we never got married. And then Fliss and me, had 3 more kids, and we got a house together. And like I knew from the second I met Fliss that she's it. Like she's, and how
did you meet her? What was the?
We met at a function. We have a photo of the second we met.
Because she wanted a photo with you?
For her brother, she didn't. She told me she worked in the TV industry for a long while. She doesn't now. She left it. It's like, I'm out of here. She's a lawyer now. But when she met me, the thing that she said that everything about her attracted me to her. But she said, I don't like actors and presenters.
Yeah.
She literally said, I don't like what all your people and you are.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest, you seem a bit different. So she told me she didn't like literally actors and presenters.
But that was when she was asking for a
Photo
selfie.
for her brother.
Right.
Yeah, for Dan. Yeah, for Daniel. So we have a photo of the second we met. And in that photo, I didn't even know her name. And you see the photo, and it looks like we're a couple. And I promise that's not what other photos look like. Yeah. So I didn't believe. I've got to say, I didn't believe in marriage. I just thought what you do is you pour everything into a relationship. But the house of marriage, I just went, we've got kids, we've got a house and did all that. So what is there to upgrade here? And then I'm like, I just thought about it. So I'm like, well, just get married.
Has your opinion changed on marriage since doing it?
Yeah.
Or is it still a nice, like, yeah, what's changed?
It's just for me, it's really selfish. How stupid it was of me not to think it would be totally cool to go, my wife and I.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
I don't trust this thing. Like what was she gonna? How was it gonna hurt me? Like it was. Yeah, I don't need that thing. That was how I thought about it all. And then when we got with her, what you don't need that. We've got kids. You know, what was I thinking? I've provided you with children. I've provided you with house. I mean, if I spoke to her like that, she'd punch me in the face anyway. But is that I don't know why. And then as soon as I went, why not?
Yeah.
Have a cool party where you just bring the people that love you into the one place to drink and dance, which we did. We turned it like a music festival and everything else. And like just all come together and go, how cool is this chick? And she's like so fine with me that we're going to do this forever. Oh, by the way, here's all my best friends you haven't met yet. Oh, that's that guy I was telling you about that I work for in Sweden, and brought them all together. Like why did I not do that sooner? And it was just the best thing I ever did. And then my kids were the bridal party.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My 4 children were our bridal party.
Awesome.
That was it. It was us 6 on stage. I'm like, fucking, why was I saying no to this? What a
On stage.
fuck it. There was a stage because it was under a big oak tree
No, I
and
know.
they couldn't see us. We did it out in a field. Like,
No, it's just funny. It makes it sound like a performance.
well, it is. We had lines.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
And it's big gear. I do.
Yeah.
And it's big scene. I do too. And that.
This has been such an incredible conversation. There's so much to your story, so many chapters, there's so much richness, and there's so many life experiences that you have so generously shared that will help so many people. The experience of watching Kenny last night, it just made me feel so good and so happy. It's the exact same way I feel now. So thank you so much for your time.
Oh, pleasure.
Permission to jump straight into
Post chat.
yes.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we could just like talk about how great he is, but let's get to the actual.
Well, it's kind of what I
practical-
want to do with,
cool.
with this. I kind of want to do how great he is. So the experience of spending time with Shane Jacobson, I was reflecting on it a lot in the days after it because he just left making me feel, I just felt so great about a lot of things. And I was reflecting about what it is, and I was thinking that like the quote that came to my mind was that quote, I don't know who it belongs to or if it is a quote, but that thing that like we don't necessarily remember what people say exactly, remember how they make us feel.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking, how do you make me feel? And it was warmth. Like he was such a warm person. And I was thinking, what an incredible characteristic that is, warmth. Like to describe someone as warm.
That's so true. Yeah.
And especially these days, especially with what we're going through all over the world with the disconnection taking place. Warmth is, if someone makes you, if what you remember is a feeling of warmth, if you feel warm around someone, you relax. And when you relax, you're yourself, and you connect because of that. And so I think this is it's a lovely attribute to have, but I think it's also a really important one. And the other thing I want to say is that because it's a behavior, not so much like you're not necessarily born with it or not, it's a behavior, so you can practice it. And I've just got 5 things here from people that I know that I instantly think are warm and how much I love being in their company. And I was thinking, I was thinking, gosh, imagine if everyone was as warm as Shane, how incredible the world would be. So, and I think it's something we can practice. So I just want to go through 5 things that I feel like we could do to be warmer.
Great.
Because it'll make the world a better place.
A good jacket.
Yes. Okay. So here's the first one. And I did notice this was Shane very much, but the first person I thought about, Josh, was our uncle Eric.
Oh, yeah.
This is the first thing. Yeah, this is the
Warm
first
man.
thing I reckon. So slow down your first interaction with someone. I think so often
That's
we
so
are.
good for Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He just looks at you and he often holds your shoulders and looks at you and does a smile and a big hug and says your name.
Yeah.
So is this like first time you've ever met them, or
It could be both. It could be
Yeah.
the first time, it could be the first time you see someone
that day?
you're about to interact with.
Don't rush through that first.
I feel like we often do. And Shane was just like, Shane had a good look at you. He said my name. He said how great it was to meet me. And he was so present for it. Like he was just, and he really slowed it down and instantly I felt warmth. And I think so often we're sort of half present or we're kind of half there and we're our first interaction, we're looking around who else is here, what other dynamics are taking place, where do I need to be after this, or what's that like?
Well, is there something, it's a very kind of like, it's a selfless thing to be kind of like, to be warm, to take time and to be almost very present in that moment. Because often the reason that we're not is because we're stuck in our head about some sort of insecurity or thing about ourselves, or like some sort of anxiety that we've got, or worry that we've got going into the chat or meeting or party or whatever. And then we bring that into the interaction and it's so cold. But it's all about you as opposed to just like putting all of your attention on the other person.
So I wrote slow down your first interaction, and the examples I gave were to make eye contact. And I know that can be hard for some people, especially neurodiverse people, but I do find that making eye contact is a very warm thing. Say the person's name. I think that's a really lovely thing when they say your name. We meet so many people in here. We have so many first meetings in here with our job with people we interview, and when they say your name, it feels
nice.
It's just really warm.
Yeah.
And pause. Like I think just pause rather than sort of rushing to the next thing or the next comment, just actually listening to what they're saying. And so that's my first one, slow down your first interaction. The second one, which was more a reflection on, I think, myself and my interactions with people, but the second one is assume something hard is going on for them.
Yeah.
Like just go into the conversation or interaction assuming something hard is going on and go and start from that place. The example I have from the other day is that Penny and I have just become friends with an incredible couple, parents who have, I won't go into the details because it's not my story to share, but they've been through the unthinkable, the most horrific thing you can imagine as a parent, awful. We've just recently learned, but I didn't know that, and I was walking past them the other day and they looked like they just didn't want to talk to me, sort of just rushed straight past and looked the other way. And so my head's like, oh, have I done something? What did I say? What's happened there? And I learned soon after that they've had experienced horrific pain and loss. And ever since that moment, the warmth that I bring to every interaction with them it's like maximum level warmth, because I understand now they have been through something awful. They are going through something still awful. And I think so often we make interactions about us. Did I do something? Just have the assumption they're going through something hard. So many people are. And it softens your tone, it softens your face, and it creates patience.
Yeah, it's a great one. I had that realization like probably 2 or 3 years ago. I was on a plane. I can't remember if I've told this story or not, but I was on a plane, and for whatever reason, I was like judging this guy in the row in front of me, because he was just like, as soon as he got on the plane, he was sitting in the middle of the row, like in the middle of the three, and he's just on his phone the whole time and just like taking up a lot of space and just being very much like on his phone and like doing lots of huffing and puffing. And I was like, this guy, I'm just like, in my head, I'm just being annoying, judging guys. I'm like, oh, bro, be present. Like, you should be so lucky to fly in an airplane, having all those sorts of like privileged thoughts and asking questions like, what time are we leaving? What time are we being really, needy, And then I found out that his wife had just gone into labor early. And he wasn't able to he was worried that he was going to miss the birth. And I was just like, why don't I just assume, go into every conversation assuming they're going through something really, really hard? Because even if they're not, worst case scenario, you're just being kind.
Exactly. Everyone is going through something. Number 3, the title here is give specific examples of what you love. Like be specific with when you're telling someone, when you sort of reflect. So the example I have is our neurodivergent child who plays basketball it was a semi-final. It was so loud. It was sensory overload. And the game was really close. And it was a very rough team who were playing very physical, especially with our child. And they just kept, one of my best friends, Dolly, who I've spoken about before, Dolly came to the game because he's just a lovely, supportive friend. Brought his son along, and he was standing behind me for the whole game. And my child kept running off during the game because they were overwhelmed by it was too much for their neurodivergent brain, and they would run off in tears. And it happened 4 or 5 times in the second half. They were overwhelmed, screaming, and it was truly I would say it was my hardest moment as a parent that I've ever been through, and it was amazing to have one of my best friends from school there. And he called me afterwards. We got through it. Our child got through it. I was so proud. And they went back on the court. They came off 5 times. They went back on 5 times. It was an amazing effort by them. And my friend Dolly called me later that day, and he said, "How are you?" And I said, "Oh, pretty shaken." It was pretty full on. And so our child got pushed over by another child who just completely lost it and pushed them over. And Dolly said to me, "I love how calm you stayed when that happened, because it really had a big impact on your child, how calm you were. And that must have been so hard." And he just gave me these specific examples of things he loved about. I mean, he spent most of the time talking about the child, but he gave me these examples of specific things. So be specific with people rather than saying, like, "Great to see you today," which is probably the case, but "I loved this chat we had. I loved how we talked about it. I love how you shared that." I think that's such a warm thing to do. The heading I had here, I wrote this.
Number 4?
Yeah, number 4. I wrote this, but I'll probably change I don't know why I thought this is a good heading for it. But the number 4, it says, the heading I wrote is "Say it with chest," which it's like, I'm trying to reference like, put your body where your mouth is. Like your body says a lot as well.
Body language.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Body language. Body language.
Body language is important.
Yeah. So warmth isn't just words; it's your physical presence as well. So,
say it with chest.
But that, to me, the reason I wrote that was I pictured. This is going to sound weird. I pictured Laura, who we work with, or who works at Resilience Project, who's been working at Resilience Project for a long time. One of the warmest people I've ever met. When you talk to her, she turns to, if it's a big group of people, if it's like at lunchtime, people sitting around, she will turn to face you as she's talking to you.
Yeah.
Like she is so there. And the amount of times I've started to talk to her and she says, "Hang on," and you see her put her phone away. Like she'll put it in her pocket, she'll turn it upside down somewhere. She puts her phone away, she turns to face you, and she nods a lot as you're talking, like you're doing right now. Nods so much as you're saying things, and her face reflects the emotion, what you're saying. If you're telling her a sad story, she looks like she's about to cry. If you're telling her a fun story, she's laughing. Like her face is, she's living the story with you. And it's just so body language, not say with the chest, body language. Turn to face them.
Yeah.
Actually put your phone away so the person you're talking to cannot see it, and maybe reflect back to them in the story with your face.
Yeah.
The final one I had here, number 5, was finish the interaction with intention. So finishing the conversation with a comment that references what matters to them most at that time. So what is happening in their life that's big for them that they've maybe shared with you. You might end up talking to another group of people, but before you say goodbye to that person, good luck with your child's entrance exam to that you just told me about, or just reference something important from their life. Like Shane did that before he left. He kind of gave us all an individual farewell that referenced something that meant something to us, and that was something that really, it just made me think that is such a warm thing to do. Like I listened, and I know it's important to you, and I just, before I go, I just want to say that I'm thinking of you for that reason.
The Bill Bryson approach.
Oh, yeah, explain that.
So years ago, I was taking photos of Bill Bryson, the author. He was doing a live tour and he had a meet and greet backstage, and my job was to take photos of him and the people who had paid for this special. There was about 15 of them who had paid a lot of money to be able to meet him afterwards and have a chat. And because he's such an amazing storyteller and such an amazing writer, a lot of people wanted to tell him a lot about what's going on in their life. And he was this incredible listener. And I noticed that in every conversation he had, before leaving, he would say, I do have to talk to someone else, but how did your son finish school? Like, what was the outcome of that?
Oh, yeah.
And he would always say, I do have to go, because he had to talk to everyone in the room. But he'd always have a question very specific about the conversation that had been happening. And we always leave with that question. And I noticed the way it made everyone feel. They just felt like they actually got a real experience with him, and that they really had a conversation, and that he really cared, which I think he seems like a person that does just care and loves meeting people and loves story. And it was an incredibly warm room. Because of him. Yeah.
So, I just feel like we all remember someone who's made us feel warm and has displayed warmth. And I think the beautiful thing about it is it's not something you have or you don't have. It's something you can practice. And I think in a world that feels tense and disconnected, it could just be, I think, one of the most important things we have to offer each other right now.
Yeah. It's such a good thing to think about. I'm so glad you brought it up, because it is something that Jam and I often talk about a lot, which is like the people in our life that we love the most. And they're always the people who are like the warm people. But when I think about them, I do not think about what they do. I do not, like, in terms of work. And I just think that's just, it's always a good thing to remember that, like, the quality of person you are has nothing to do with how much you've achieved or how well you do. It's about how warm you are and how thoughtful and present, and like that is ultimately what matters. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, Hugh, and thank you, Shane.
Yeah.
Mainly, thank you, Shane.
Yeah. Bit thank you, Hugh.
And good luck to me. Still gift on Sunday. So good luck to me for
Good
that.
luck to you.
Always good to be specific about something you're doing.
Warmth to myself.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you both. Yeah, great to catch up.
Yeah. Bye.
And thank you for that great Bill Bryson story, Josh.
Okay, goodbye. If you enjoyed this episode and want a little more, you might enjoy our subscriber-only apps, available on Patreon and Apple Podcasts. If you want a little more but don't want to pay any more, then you can join our newsletter at theimperfects.com.au. And while you're there, you'll be able to see the names and faces of all the incredible people who help make this show. A show made on the lands of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people, and we pay our respects to elders past and present. The Imperfects is not a licensed mental health service and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, treatment, or assessment. The advice given in this episode is general in nature, but if you're struggling, please see a healthcare professional or call Lifeline on 13 11 14.